And when Timo and I came here at the beginning of this week, we had nothing but a nice story. And these three extremely generous gentlemen on the left, staying behind me actually, prepared us an IOTA-based prototype, which you can see the video of on the left side. It's up and running, actually a real-life prototype, and which we have embedded also into the story. But I think we cannot do it justice enough, so I hope that you all understand there's a real-life prototype behind it. Book of Genesis, it's about ending agriculture-related deforestation. And for doing so, you have to do actually 2 steps. And these are our missions in the end. The first mission is to create transparency around the first mile of an agricultural product, actually from farm to mill. And the second one is then actually to start incentivizing and supporting farmers in doing the right choice, namely stopping deforestation. What's the problem? In the end, you have to be aware that our consumption chains for consumer good that you see here, 80% of the greenhouse gas emission is actually at the source, where the raw material is produced. Half of that, up here in green, is actually from deforestation. And if you take the burger we had for lunch, you can actually put together what's in there mostly. It's beef, it's soy that was fed to the beef, it's the paper that wrapped the thing, and it's the palm oil that was fried in. So these 4 things actually constitute half of that. And we're gonna go with our first use case into palm oil. You can see actually deforestation as it happens. If you zoom out, I mean, there are home pages where you can watch it. This is over this course of 10 years, how in the Indonesia area and Malaysia area, the whole forest is being removed. But to work on that problem, it's not enough to stay at the satellite level. You actually go to the ground. You have to go here. You have to see his issues, or her issues, the farmer's dilemma. What's the dilemma? In the end, for a farmer, it's more interesting to actually log down forest, increase land size, and thereby increase output, rather than actually increasing yield, which is possible. I mean, they can double. If you do this properly, you can double your yield and actually also increase the output. The issue here is that takes more time. That requires credit. That requires money, which the farmer doesn't have. So to tip the thing, the first step is, as said, create transparency. The prototype that we created doesn't encompass that part, but the idea is that the farmer creates a profile and actually gets approved by his peers, rather than in other cases by auditors, and thereby gets a public key, which he now can then use in the following transaction that Michael is going to present to you.
Yeah, now it comes to the technical part. So what we want to do is we want to verify where the collection, where the harvest happens. And what you can see here in the bottom is a IOTA tangle. And the first step here would be the farmer that harvests his palm fruits. And what we have is a mobile app on his phone. And the farmer would put in the weight of the fruits he's selling and the quality. And then automatically we would include also the date and the time and his GPS position in the transaction, which he would hand over and attach to the tangle and get the transaction receipt. And we display that as a QR code. And then the collector comes by and he loads the fruits on his truck, scans the QR code, searches the hash in the tangle, gets the payload, which the farmer put in, and then again confirms that to make it non-fungible and puts it attach it to the tangle as well. He also gets a transaction receipt, and then he could decide whether to go to another farmer or whether to go to the mill to actually unload the fruit, which would happen the same way, more or less. So the collector would show the last QR code he got, present that to the mill, which would search in the tangle, get the code, and now confirms that unload. And with this, you could actually trace back through the tangle, because we always include the previous transaction receipt. And so we can make the whole run non-fungible and can trace back in the chain.
Okay, thank you. Who is interested in that information, actually? I mean, in the end, all of us, but most predominantly the brands that have committed to zero deforestation. There's quite a number, 200 actually of them have committed. how can they use it? I mean, most brands know which mills they're supplying from. There's no need for extensive solutions to get there. Unilever recently published all the 1,200 mills they're supplying from. So actually, they can, if you know who's supplying to the mill, they can actually go in and support the farmer accordingly. And that's actually what they want to do if they had that information. What's the potential behind there? I mean, we assume, and that's actually, Timo and I come from industry, that a brand would be willing to buy 50,000 euro per annum for this kind of information, making up a market space of 10 million revenue. And if you take all 2,000 brands globally, you would get to 100 million. What's the difference between us and competition? The competition is normally exclusive. You log your supply chain back to the base. You don't log anybody beyond your supply chain. You want to clean up your supply chain. We want to be transformative. And brands like Unilever actually are following that path. Because it's better actually to clean up the ground and actually be a sustainable brand than just segregating yourself off from the rest and you're clean and the rest is dirty. Because that doesn't make the situation better. Why blockchain and what's the basis? I mean, blockchain here is a foundational layer in there, and it has to be trustable because we want to actually use it for our second mission, namely provide incentives and support via blockchain. For example, by providing peer-to-peer payment services, farmers now have to wait quite long for their money. This kind of could be speed up by a peer-to-peer payment service, or actually emitting cryptocurrency kind of to farmers who do zero deforestation, as you can tell from the satellite data, so that they can actually benefit from not logging. Or providing microcredits to those who are in need, what you can tell from the output. I mean, you can tell what's the output, so you can suppose that this farmer with a lower output might actually need support to increase the yield on that piece of land. With that being said, I thank you very much. I thank you for your support in this. Thank you.